Hey guys, welcome to TEPS Investigates or TEPS Podcast, which is the Everything Paranormal Show, but we're calling it TEPS Podcast nowadays. And this is going to be episode 201. Welcome. And tonight we are going to be discussing some really awesome stuff because we're going to get into the nitty gritty and the down and dirty of the paranormal industry. Yeah, that's right. We're going to talk about some things that are pretty controversial. Schmicky Schmoo. What's going on? Teps be my daddy. All right, possibly. I don't know. I have no idea. But guys, we're going to be talking about some down and dirty stuff today. The paranormal, industry, things that's probably not supposed to be said. Now, some of you guys may know a lot of these things. Who knows? Some of you may not, but either way. So let's get into it. Deef, what's going on? Is Bigfoot real? Sure, if you believe it. All right. So Pokey Joe, what's going on? Tips, baby, that's what he says. Guys, welcome to the stream. Feldheim, what up, Teps? Wong here. Love the show. Long time listener. Thank you. I just resurrected the show after being down like a year, but cool. I guess I appreciate the love. All right, but seriously, we're going to dive into this, guys. And yes, your comments, I will try to incorporate some along the way. But we're going to get into some nitty gritty and we're going to get some behind the scenes paranormal stuff. Like I said, boring stuff, good stuff. Hang in there. Let's get going, shall we? Kat, how you doing? Good evening. So, guys, the paranormal industry. What is there to know? Many people come and they want to watch. They want to watch paranormal shows. It's exciting. Many people either they're on the fence. They don't know if they want to believe. Some people just believe blindly. They're just like, man, I've got to I just believe. And there's just the different spectrum, right? Camera's weird, right? But there's like the different spectrum. So some people are just hardcore, some people are skeptic, but a lot of people love to watch the shows because it is, for the most part, most shows are fairly entertaining. There's a lot of suspense. You don't know what's going to happen. Sometimes you got things flying and ladders getting knocked over. Sometimes knives getting thrown. All kinds of craziness on the internet. And so, you just never know what's real. And that's why I wanted to talk a little bit about it. I mean, guys, you can go all the way back to the beginning of ghosts, right? The word ghost, paranormal has really been around as long as human written text. We can go all the way back to like the Sumerians, like the Babylonians. In fact, I know there was a Babylonian tablet dating back to about 1500 BC that mentioned, like spirits and things. They mostly would refer to them as like demons back then. But again, I just wanted to let you guys know that the idea that humans were fearing or interacting with spirits / demons / ghosts, whatever you want to call, that's been going on since the dawn of man. All right. And probably I would argue, obviously, well before all the written stuff. It's just that once they started writing it, they were able to start writing ghost stories. So is there a difference between a ghost and a demon? Yes. I mean, a ghost is like a human spirit. And of course, a demon is just like an evil, non-human spirit. So I just wanted to kind of roll out some of those definitions. But yeah, so you guys, let's get into some nitty gritty. When you watch YouTube, now again, a lot of this started out. We had the TV shows, and well before. Okay, now let's back up. We had Ghost Hunters come out in 2004. Okay, now there was paranormal things on TV even decades before that. Okay. But they usually were in the form of like a documentary style, sometimes recreation style. they were things like Unsolved Mysteries or In Search of with Leonard Nimoy and things like that. There's all kinds of other shows, but they were like here and there. But the first reality based TV show, the reality style, was Ghost Hunters in 2004. Once they hit big, all of a sudden, all the cable networks were like, oh my God, we need to get on this paranormal bandwagon. Because again, there was nothing on cable at that time. There was nothing in cable syndication that was dealing with paranormal stuff. It was sort of a, forgive the pun, but a dead subject. So Ghost Hunters came out and they did this reality style format. And all of a sudden, every network wanted a show. So we ended up with like 30 some paranormal cable shows all within like the next few years. And my team in Florida, started doing some preliminary investigations for ghost hunters back in the day. We were blessed with those type of things. But fast forward to now, we got into this era, these last 6 years or so, maybe even a little more, where YouTube became big. And so people, the TV shows, a lot of people started kind of fading away from those because the thing is that but the shows got very ridiculous and people were just kind of like, man, this is kind of getting a little cheesy. There was just a bunch of shows starting to be really ridiculous. So their attention then, as just in general, attention went from cable to YouTube to the internet. People started looking at a lot of like amateur ghost hunters or paranormal investigators that were doing videos, and they were like seeing this incredible stuff, and they were just like, oh my God, this stuff is like the real stuff. This is like some dude with a camera going around, or his phone, whatever, and he's just going around, or she, and they're just filming, and this has got to be real. Like, this is real paranormal. And it just blew up. Again, the paranormal industry took off again. Problem with all of that is that a lot of these people, unfortunately, a lot of these paranormal investigators and these YouTube channels were quickly learning how to, well, to put it bluntly, how to fake things. Okay. They were starting to learn how to use cameras. Because let's face it, right? You have right here, the edge of my screen, and here, and of course, up and down, right? You've got the edges of the screen. So anything you see behind me, that's what you believe is reality. Okay. That's what you think the reality is. The truth is, this could be a green screen behind me, right? Things like that. You don't know, even though this is real. This is real behind me. But I could have a green screen if I really wanted to, or there could be somebody standing just off the side here, and you would never know. And all I would have to do is be like, hey guys, I'm home alone today, blah, blah, blah. And meanwhile, I could have somebody just standing off corner, like off right here. And you see that, that chair right here, back here, that chair that's folded up, they could just push it over, knock it over. And I could just be like, whoa, did you guys see that? That was on, oh my God, that was live on camera. But again, it was being faked. You don't always know. Now, if I took the camera and I started panning around, you'd be like, oh, I don't see anybody. But again, there's the magic tricks. As long as I'm showing you whatever I want you to see, I can keep somebody hidden off screen the entire time. This is a very common practice. You believe they're alone, they're really with somebody else. You believe there's only two of them, there's three of them, and so forth, so on. Oh, there's a group of them, but there's an extra person. Sometimes there's one person, an extra two people. Depends on what they're trying to pull off and how elaborate they're trying to pull off. So I coined a phrase a while back called paranormal laundering. Okay. And so you can think of it like money laundering. So what happens when you take dirty money right? Bad money, and you have to find a way to clean it. Like, if you're a corrupt organization and you're taking in dirty money, you've got to clean it, right? That's money laundering. You've got to make it appear like it's legit money. So there's a different ways that, and I'm not going to spell it out how that's done because some of you might get ideas. I'm talking to, uh, but I call it paranormal laundering, and what I mean by that is they will use things like, for example, a live stream. When somebody is clever enough to fake things on a live stream, this is paranormal laundering as well. Because guess what? Their followers, the people that are watching them, they're going to stand up for them. They're going to defend them. They're going to say, I watched that chair fall over on live stream. I saw it on live stream. He couldn't be faking it because it was live, right? He couldn't have faked it because it was live, and therefore it must be real. And that's the laundering. Okay. Now they've been able to legitimize it. Now, here's another common one. Hey, Terry Lynn. Beyond. Yeah, I love some coast to coast. I'm going to hit a few of these comments in here too. It's just that I'm trying to get my points across because you guys are so active sometimes. I'd be just saying comments all night. But yeah, coast to coast, obviously, yes, definitely the OG. But yeah, Terry Lynn. So, and again, Terry Lynn knows the industry. So another way that is paranormal laundered is people that don't do paranormal. So, for example, you might have a channel where you do nothing but streaming. Now, I'm going to throw in some Diefendorf in here because he asked me, is Bigfoot real? All right. So you have a fishing channel, not Deef, but let's just say in this example, a YouTuber has a fishing channel. Okay. And they know, like, their channels, so-so. But when they stage an elaborate Bigfoot hoax, like, say they're out on the boat, they're out on a bass boat, and they're showing you, like, hey, it's like a typical video. They're like, hey, we're doing some bass today. I'm trolling over here, blah, 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 whatever. And then somewhere in the video, they're like, oh my God, what is that? And they look and they pan over, and there's on shore, off in the distance, there's like a Bigfoot, like a creature staring at them. And they're like, do you guys see that? What the hell is that? Like, let me kind of pull the boat in a little bit. And they're just kind of like trying to, and then you see the thing like dive backwards into the bushes or whatever, like fall back into the bushes. And they're like, what the hell? Like, could that have been a Bigfoot? And they just play it off, right? They just act like, oh my God, like, this is crazy. Okay. So they say they do that. I'm going to stick with that example. So now guess what? People say, well, that had to have been real because they don't normally do paranormal shows. They don't do anything about ghosts. Therefore, it must be real. Christian, what's going on? Hey, buddy. So good to see you guys all popping in here tonight. So this is what I'm talking about, is like with paranormal laundering. This is the dirty secrets of the paranormal industry, because a lot of these other channels also know that a good ghost video, Bigfoot video is going to drive their streams. They're going to get their hits, views, some sub counts, all that stuff, right? So if they pull it off and it goes viral, man, they're golden, right? And they're just like, and that's all they have to do is one little hoax, and they're good typically. So that's another way. Now, another version of that, of paranormal laundering, is when they pretend not to notice. So, thanks, Kat. Appreciate it. Yeah, I try to, again, this is why we try to be honest. So another way that's paranormal laundered is background. Okay. So whether you're doing the live stream, like I said earlier in the example, or whether you're doing a fishing show, if you have something happen in the background, but you don't notice, and then later your people are like, dude, what's that on timestamp 518? And you're like, oh my God, that's like a Bigfoot. Holy shit. Again, this shit happens. This is staged shit, I'm telling you. Now, I'm not saying that every single situation is fake. Unfortunately, a majority of them are, because we live in a society when everybody wants to have some kind of viral video. Everybody wants their channels to blow up. Everybody wants to make $20,000, $30,000 sitting behind a camera a month and not have to have a real job. Well, maybe that last one's me. I don't know. That would be nice. Anyways, like and subscribe, guys. Also, I want to take a quick break, and I want to tell you today's sponsor. So there's two sponsors. We got Paranormal Underground magazine, guys. If you like paranormal stuff and you want like a gorgeously illustrated full magazine digitally sent to your email on the first of every month, go to paranormalunderground.net and tell them Josh sent you. You're going to get a year for free. And honestly, after that, they don't even charge me anyways. So guys, if you want an amazing magazine, Paranormal Underground magazine, they've got articles, it's so good. And they've been sponsoring me for a few years now. Love Cheryl and those guys over there. So good. So take a moment. If you guys love paranormal stuff and you want cool articles to read and whatnot, hit up Paranormal Underground magazine, guys. Tell them Josh sent you, or just tell them TEPS or the Everything Paranormal Show, whatever you want to say. Terrell said 90% of channels involving paranormal are fake. I would even argue probably more. I mean, to be honest with you, it's harder to find a legitimate channel that's 100% legit than it is. Most everything I watch, I can point out the fakes, like for the most part. Now there's some I think are pretty close to legit. I would just go on a limb and say one of the biggest channels I think is probably pretty straightforward would be the Foreman brothers. There was a few situations where I think could have been questionable, but nothing really that stood out. I really haven't seen them caught any kind of hardcore tricks, if you will. And I'm pretty keen. And of course we got some debunking channels out there. So, certainly, yes, like the Everything Paranormal Show, TEPS Investigates, like that show that we do. We like, the way I look at it is this: my show, if you ever watch TEPS Investigates, okay, what you're going to see is you're going to see heightened reactions. In other words, if I hear noise, I'm going to be like, what was that? Because it's boring. If you guys watch the show and I'm just like, and I heard a noise, and I'm just like, hey, did you guys hear that? Let's go check it out. No, I mean, you want to be like, what? Because I mean, it is pretty exciting. So you're going to get heightened reactions. And I believe that channels should do that. You should have some tension. There should be a little bit of tension music in there sometimes. But what you won't see me do is faking my material. If you hear a knock, it's a legitimate knock, unless there's a debunking to it. Like if, somebody from the outside knocked on the outside of the house and it was like some kind of passerby or vagrant or somebody, like if we're in a city or something, like things like that, we're going to try to dismiss or debunk. But as far as like anything else, we're not going to fake it. I would rather be tension and exciting. And usually we do get like EVPs. Sometimes the dowsing rods will tell us cool stories. And of course the history of the locations. That's what's exciting when you watch a lot of these episodes, is when you get that B-roll, you get the history of the location, maybe some stories, some ghost stories in there. And then we get to experience and do the ghost hunt. And whether or not we get something or not, hey, who knows? So season 2, and just to give you, remember I said we were sponsored a couple people. I also want to say we're sponsored by TEPS Investigates, our own show. So guys, if you have not, go to Paraflix. Now I've got the ticker down here scrolling. So if you need to reach out to discuss anything, we are located in the Northeast Tennessee area. So anything in that surrounding areas or whatever, let me know. And I have, we have contacts in different parts of the country. But if you need help, you have a case, whatever the case is, you can reach out to Everything Paranormal Show, and I'm always happy to either try to help you, consult with you, or try to find somebody that can investigate for you, things like that. But definitely hit me up there. And again, like the ticker says, please share, like, and subscribe. That's going to help grow the channel. Also, here we go. Check out TEPS Investigates on Paraflix. Use code TEPS25. So our show, we're going into season 2. We're getting ready to release the last episode. Season 1, episode 5 is going to be being released. I'm hoping over by the end of this next month. Then we've got season 2 coming out. Season 2 is going to be we're in the process of starting to film. We've got multiple locations that we're going to be going to, a variety of like historical homes, old locations, or like some old abandoned or old building locations. It's going to be a pretty good season, I hope. So we'll see some new faces on the team, maybe some familiar faces, some new faces, but we are evolving the show this year in season 2. So guys, it's going to be very exciting. And of course, you can catch a lot of the free previews here on Facebook. So make sure that you subscribe and hit the notification bell for this channel, because I'm going to be starting to do a lot more with the channel again, guys. I know I neglected the YouTube channel, and I'm going to start doing this. And the show's back. The show's back. So yes, thank you, Kat, Terry Lynn. I know, right? Bob, poor Bob. Guys, if you all remember Bob, God bless him, such a good person. But yes, Feldheim, everybody, guys, make sure that you're there. I'm so excited to be back. But every Thursday now, I'm going to try to do the live show again at 9 p.m. And next week, I believe I'm going to confirm, but we may have Stacy back on, at least as a guest. I don't know if he'll be co-hosting anymore. But for sure, we're looking at maybe getting Stacy back on as a guest. If for those of you that don't know, Stacy Talich, if you watched any of the old podcasts or the old shows, he co-hosted for quite a long time. And he specializes in like remote viewing. He teaches, he has a course, multiple courses on stuff with Udemy. There's just a lot. I'll let him tell you about himself as well. But he's got a lot of great insight into spiritualism and things like that. So, guys, next Thursday, you don't want to miss it. But I will be, again, doing more. And also, guys, whenever we do the seasons, like the new season that we're filming, before they go to Paraflix, or when they go to Paraflix, I will be doing the first 5 minutes of the episodes, or at least 5 minutes worth of the episode, for free on YouTube. And then if you want to watch the full investigation, obviously you want to go to Paraflix. But guys, use that code TEPS25. You're going to get a year 25% off. And I want to say for the whole year of Paraflix, it's like 25 or 30 bucks or something, like after the discount or something. It's not much. So once you get paid, just get you like a 1 year, use TEPS25. And guys, you'll have Paraflix and you'll be able to see all the shows over the next year. So anyways, now that we've plugged all what's been going on with everything, let's get back into some more. Tef's got the hookup. Also 2025, going into 2025, we're going to see how season 2 goes. If you guys make season 2 even more successful than season 1's been, then we are going to we're going to be doing a lot of live appearances again. I got to do some celebrity appearances before in the past, and now going into 2025, we are going to be looking at doing multiple appearances at some of the different paracons, horror cons, and things like that. So super excited about that. And Paraflix is great. They've been sponsoring a lot of these conventions lately. Great partners. I just can't talk enough about Paraflix. The team, they've built that. It was all formed by not by businessmen, but by ghost hunters that care about the business. And they're the kind of business too that cares about quality. They care about and like they really care about ghost hunting. And it's like a family environment. So I can't say enough about Paraflix. Yeah, Cat says, let me see. I kind of bumped the mic there, but see, Paraflix is great. I subscribe to it. It's spooktacular. Yeah. So, okay, let's get back to the nitty gritty. So so cognitive dissonance, right? It's when you just can't find yourself to believe some things. Let me get a sip of coffee, actually. Coffee break. Yummy. It's about the only plant-based thing I ingest anymore is coffee. Everything else is meat. All right. If you guys haven't noticed, I've lost a ton of weight. So 70 plus pounds probably since the last major live stream. I tried live streaming last week, but it was like 15 minutes and then the live stream like cut out and I didn't have it recorded. So I may even just delete it, but I wanted people to kind of see that I was back at least. So this is kind of more of an official one. And we just started with, I labeled this one episode 201, but I mean, I just did that for the hell of it because I didn't know where to start. We did so many in the past and I probably should have started like however many years. Like I probably should have started episode 701 or something, but anyways, but cognitive dissonance, man, it's just like this rejection to reality. Like you refuse to believe and you just have this derangement toward anything else. You see it a lot in politics. I'm not going to get into politics, but even nowadays, there's so many people with cognitive dissonance about things. They're just like, oh, and you try to tell them like some facts and they're like, oh, shut up. I can't handle it. I can't. I mean, that's cognitive dissonance. They don't want to deal with it. So a lot of that happens in paranormal too. You get people that follow some of these big YouTubers, and we're talking ones that have hundreds of thousands of followers or in the millions, and they produce produced stuff. They do. The production qualities are great. I mean, I'm jealous at times. It's like, wow, really good production quality. And of course, the bigger they get, the better they get because they have bigger crews, editors, cinematographers. They get bigger and better, right? But there's some great production, great value, and some of them still even keep it very, very low budget because it's like a style. They want you to feel like that Blair Witch effect, where it feels very much like an amateur photographer or video, like filming his. I'm alone in a cabin, whatever, out in the middle of the woods, and there was deaths here a long time ago somehow. So, but however they do it, whether they get bigger and bigger production wise, but the quality of their production, B-roll, things like that, storytelling, it's really good because they're perfecting it more and more and more, and they're performing all the little dirty tricks. And it's sad. It really is sad, but it's entertainment. It's entertainment, right? And a lot of it was like when people first started watching Jerry Springer, right? Jerry Springer, when it first came out, people just thought that Springer was bringing on these just trashy people, and he just kind of like had that scenario where it's like she was cheating on him and baby mama drama. But at the very beginning, it seemed legit because it was like you just thought that he was just finding these people to come on there, and he was just sort of exploiting, I guess, what you would call trailer trash or ghetto trash, however you want to define it. But in the end, we really started looking. We started to find out the joke was on us. It was really more of a loose script kind of thing, and all this other crap. And again, same thing with a lot of reality shows. A lot of people thought, when reality shows were a thing, and this is same thing with these top tier ghost hunting shows. They have learned how to hoodwink you very well. Another example is the quick cut. This is another popular example. So the quick cut, and I guess if I was more prepared than just doing this live show, I probably could have had some real examples. Okay. All right, Beyond. So, but a quick cut is essentially when you're looking and they're like, say they here's an example, and I'm not going to name the people, even though I know the people that did it. But they like pan across this room, and you see like these table and chairs, and they turn, they start to go up the stairs. All of a sudden, they hear a noise, and they whip over, and the same table and chairs are now stacked like out of a movie, like a poltergeist movie, right? Just stacked, all nice and neat. And they're like, "Oh my god!" Well, here's the thing: they made it seem like it, and because people were like telling me, they're like, no, Josh, that was not fake. That was all 1 20-minute take on the investigation. That happened. You saw. They looked, they went up the stairs and they turned back and it was right there. There was no way they could have done it in that quick a time. Again, fake reality. Because they pan, they go up the stairs, they turn, okay, they cut. Table and chairs, still normal. Now they stack everything. Now they recreate the shot. They start walking up the stairs, turn. Okay, now the secret is in the turn. When they turn, like that, when everything just whooshes by. Well, guess what? They turn, and when everything's whooshing by, they splice in the other whoosh, and it blends. It just looks like one blur. So you go from bling, blur, and here's the thing. Because the audio, they also will take a small section of the ambient audio, and right over that splice where the two video clips are, they lay over that ambient audio. So it doesn't sound like there's any break in the audio. And they will even use these, it's like a dissolve technique, right? Where everything's sort of spliced together. It's like a cross stitch, and it just, the software will blend the audio smoothly, and it just sounds like there's no cut. You don't see visually a cut. Now, if you were to hyper slow it down, a lot of times you can go from one blur to another mismatched blur. You can actually see the cut. But again, when you watch it in real time, for the most part, it looks great. Okay, it's great. So it's another dirty technique that is used when, so quick cuts are another thing. Another cut that is can also be popular is kind of like going around a corner, things like that. There's a certain way that you can, a lot of it is hidden in the blurs. If you have a line, like if you go past a doorway and the doorway is like a line going across the screen, then anything and one thing can be an old, and then anything on this side can be the new take, but it looks like you're panning into a room all in one live motion. But in reality, as long as you have that line that you can butt your new footage up to, then it'll swipe over into the new footage. Again, you overlay some audio, and everything looks like you're seamlessly going from one room to another, And this might be because, again, you could be trying to hide somebody, you could be trying to hide that something was staged, or you could be whatever you're trying to hide. Again, that's where you can do those type of secret cuts as well. Those can be a little trickier because, again, a lot of times, even with that straight line, like that doorway, when you're matching up the new stuff, you're having to really make sure you line it up and attach it and anchor it to that line, and just, and it has to be feathered perfectly, because if people start to, you really dissect it, they'll start to see it. But in normal motion, looks great. All right. You guys ready for some more dirty tricks? If you guys have any questions, comments, throw them in there right now. I'm going to take me a little sip of coffee. And we're going to probably talk for about another 10, 15 minutes or so, or unless you guys start having a lot of questions or something. I don't know who's all still here. Deep was still wanting to know if Bigfoot's real, I'm sure. All right. Okay. So another very common trick is fishing line. Or if it's not fishing line, it's magician thread, which is essentially the same. It's like invisible thread. I had a magician friend of mine once that showed me some Invisi-thread, and I got to tell you, it blew my mind, because let me tell you something. He was sitting right next to me, okay, and he was floating, like he did the thing where it was like he had like a playing card in his hand, and he like floated it up in the air and started spinning it in between his hands. And I'm like a foot and a half away from him. And I'm like, what the, like, whoa. And he showed me, because he knew that I was very, like I wouldn't tell anybody around him. But he had this Invisi-thread going from his ear to like over his hand. And then there was there was a teeny little piece of wax on the end of this Invisi-thread that he pressed onto the card. And so when he lifted his hand up, it tightened up that thread, and it pulled the card up, and it was balancing, and he it started kind of spinning a little. He just kind of went with it to keep it in motion. So you didn't like focus on the possibly the ball of wax or anything. But the point is, the Invisi-thread, I was so close, I didn't even see the thread. And he told me that those threads can sometimes even hold like straight up and down, almost lifting a bowling ball. Okay. That those Invisi-threads are extremely tough. So that's probably going to be more expensive. So a lot of paranormal guys are just going to go to Walmart and get some of that fishing line that has the no reflection type stuff. And sometimes they suck, and they just buy regular fishing line that shows up on camera half the time anyways. But fishing line's another popular. And remember, they use this in combination with somebody off screen. So you think they're only there by themselves. And again, they're going to take their camera and they're going to show you around. And you're going to think, man, like you walk through this place, you didn't see anybody, you didn't hear anybody. Meanwhile, they've just been out of frame the whole time. Okay. And then they have things already set up that are on string, and it's just a matter of frame. So like I said, if you looked at this frame here and my buddy was set up, it could possibly be like behind me, there's a table back here that's got a little bit of wheels on it, but you maybe not even notice that. And he could use the string and pull that, and it starts to move. Or a better example is the pop figures back here, right? So if one of those had a string from back there, you probably wouldn't even know. And somebody could be off camera back wherever, even back, toward the couch. There could be a string all the way back to the other side of the house. and they can pull that, and the pop figure comes off, and they can yank it. The little wax will pop off. They'll reel up the string. I like, whoa, did you guys see that? It was in the background, my pop figure, and just flew off the shelf. And I could take my camera. I can be like, oh guys. And we can just like run over there, and I could show you and pick it up and be like, look. And you wouldn't see anything because guess what? The string's already been yanked off. And I could even pan the room, and they're not even, you don't see anybody else in the room. It was all a magic trick. It's all stage. If you look at disappearing acts, if you look it up on, not to spoil yourself in magic, a lot of it has to do with the stage, right? Curtains, props, and the vantage points of audience members, sometimes using mirrors, all those things used in combination to have the illusion that you don't see somebody transfer from that box to something else. And all of a sudden you think they're in the box, poof, they're gone and they're somewhere else. Or they'll use twins. But regardless, it's how all of this stuff is designed. Same thing in paranormal. They're magicians. They know that what you're seeing, that's the stage. And so they can use, off stage, they can do whatever they want because you can't see what I'm doing. You can't see. I could be flipping you guys the bird. I could be doing, love symbols, rock symbols. Who knows what I'm doing? How many fingers am I holding up? Nobody knows unless you just guess. But that's the point. You're off stage. So they know this, and they plan this shit ahead of time because they know the end result. All they need to do is have some things go accordingly and have it look good. They're going to hype it up. They're going to freak out. And guess what? They're going to get 1 million views. So that's another thing is the string. The string is very popular, and especially in combination with somebody else there. Now, if they're by themselves, legitimately by themselves, then they have ways of pulling string. They can tie it to sticks and slide the stick with their foot. There's ways of doing things off camera as well. Now, there's also the dark suit. Yes, the dark suit. The dark suit is a skin tight, completely dark suit. It's not shiny fabric. It's a matte fabric. And it looks like an extremely, extremely black shadow. Okay. This has been used. I know it for a fact. And I'm just going to leave it at that, but it don't matter. Like the point is that those type of things exist as well. So when you see some of these dark shadows, things like that, just be mindful of that type of stuff. Okay. All right. Another common trick. All right. I'm spilling the beans here. Another common trick is the use of static cameras, AKA security cameras. Now, how many times have you seen security footage on these shows and they're like, oh, it's got to be real? Remember, this is a combination of things. They're paranormal laundering it because, these people decided to do a hoax and they get it on a big thing and they get attention for it. Therefore, it must be real because it's security cam footage from some dock workers or some warehouse or whatever. Guys, don't be fooled by everything you see. Static cameras, aka security cameras, or anything that doesn't move is some of the easiest stuff to fake. Why do I say that? Because all you have to do on a static camera is just film, right? You film what's called a clean slate. Okay. That means nothing is going on in the picture. Okay. So now once you film your clean slate, You can do whatever you want, right? So you film the clean slate. So now, for example, if I wanted to, I don't know, say like have one of those pop figurines over here, like literally come up and float off camera. Like, you know, and just say like, hey, hey guys, I'm going to go, you know, to the restroom. I'll be right back. And let's say I leave the camera frame and all of a sudden the pop figurine lifts up, goes off camera. Or let's just say I just upload some footage saying, hey guys, my webcam picked up some scary shit. Well, here's the thing. It's a combination of CG basically. Like you basically, like, so what I would do is I would just film myself walking over and I'm going to grab the box from behind, lift it up, and I'm going to walk it off camera. And I'm going to make sure I don't cover any of the beginning, the front part of there. So then what I do is I just go back, right? And I take my clean slate and now I can just cut me out and replace it with the background, the clean slate where I'm not in it, but I can leave the pop figurine that's floating in the air. Okay. But meanwhile, it looks like, you know, I'm, you know, or something's floating in the camera. So that's where you see some of those things. So be careful when you see a static camera. Meaning it's not moving. It's just stationary, whether it's a tripod, security camera, those things can be faked the most. So, Kat, you say it seems like a lot of work to create fake spirits. And you're right. But guess what? It sells. That's the problem. These guys know. And it's not, believe it or not, it's not as hard as you think, because as long as you have somebody else. I seen a whole video of a fairly popular YouTuber. I saw a whole video where he was by himself and he was going all throughout this house and the doors kept shutting on him. And then he would go run into a room and look around. And then he would hear something else. He'd go run to the other side of the house and the door would slam as he's going up to the door. He'd go in the door, look around. Nobody was there. And he kept doing this all throughout the house, all this other shit. But when you break it down scene by scene, it's a mirror. It's this bait and switch. So, or I don't want to say bait and switch, but it's a constant, what do you want to call, like, it's a shuffle. So what would happen is the guy that was with him would shut the door as he was coming up to the door. He'd shut the door and the guy would stand behind the door. So as soon as he came in the door, he would go deep into the room, or like middle of the room. While he was going into the room and turning to the right, the guy would sneak out of there and go quietly down the hall back to the other side of the room. Then he would like pan around and you would just be like, oh man. And you would see behind the door, there was nobody there, blah, blah, blah. But there would always be enough time. He would always delay it just enough. He wouldn't just ever walk into the room and go right behind the door and show you, hey, nothing behind the door, blah, blah, blah. Or if he did, there was a closet that would be on the other side that didn't have like the doors on the closet, but somebody could hide right around that little nook, you know, that little corner thing, part of the closet. No matter what he did, there was always an escape path for the person to leave the room, go stage into another room, make a noise, slam a door, and then that guy would go. So again, and I watched this whole thing, and people fall for it though. They're like, oh, he's running into these places, he's looking around. But if you really were to take the time and start thinking about where somebody could stand and be out of frame and all this stuff, it's a well-coordinated dance, and it don't take much. If you can pull it off, these guys go and they've gotten so good at it that it's like when you work well with somebody, they know where you're going to be at. They know, like, okay, he's coming in, boom, like they know. Okay. They know. So, guys, I just wanted to cover that. I just thought I would cover that for tonight's live. Hopefully, I'm glad. It seems like the whole show went live tonight. Now, if you guys have any last minute comments or questions, go ahead and start getting them in now as we start to wrap it up. But guys, let your folks know. Let your folks know about the stream, about the show, all that stuff. We're really going to be ramping it up this year. We're going to be ramping it up, and we're going to be doing a lot going into 2025 with appearances and all that good stuff, guys. And don't forget about all the little things too. Like, if you guys want some TEPS Investigate shirts, I do have a place you can order those. If you need to, hit me up in the email, everythingparanormalshow@gmail.com. If you're interested in some merch, I can send you the link. I don't publicly advertise it too much. It is out there, but I don't really have a major merch store yet. I'm kind of waiting. As you can tell, I rebranded recently, and now we have like the new TEPS Investigate logo that we started doing. I'm really proud of that logo. I may even offer somebody to kind of smooth it out and make it into another artistic version. We may look at doing that. But other than that, Dave says, yeah, definitely hard to tell the truth from the hoax. And that's the problem. So I want to kind of cover that too real quick. That's the whole problem with the paranormal industry and why now it's not a huge thing. Like, some people still like to see the shows like on YouTube, but in all honesty, it's like people are just all like, nobody's believing anything anymore. And it doesn't help when you have somebody like me that's been doing this for like 30 years coming on here and spilling the beans and telling everybody the secrets. But I don't have nothing to hide because I don't fake it. So that's the thing. I would rather people know so that way they can start to kind of discern, okay, that's probably fake. But there is some real channels out there. Again, like I said, I think Foreman Brothers are a big channel. They seem pretty legit. Now, another one of my personal little favorites that I admit I don't always was watching them all the time is VAPI, VAPI, Virginia Paranormal Investigators. I've had Jeff on the show, David on the show. They're a good bunch of folks. I haven't watched them in a while. I don't even know what they're up to lately, to be honest with you. But the reason why I bring them up is because when I watch their stuff, they're about as close to a real paranormal investigation that you can see on YouTube just about. And the reason why I say that is because, and I hope nobody takes this the wrong way, but their content, other than their commentary, like the stuff going to a show or like the stuff around an investigation can be okay. Like, they joke around. Jeff's a pretty funny guy, but the investigation itself is pretty boring. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean that as in, real investigations, like an honest to God ghost investigation, paranormal investigation, is pretty boring. Most of it's just trying to gather evidence and then going back and analyzing that evidence and trying to find stuff in the evidence. It's usually not things that happen while you're on site. Things like ladders falling over and all this other crap. A lot of that's fake. So, like I said, Virginia Paranormal, when you watch a lot of the actual investigation parts, they're pretty boring. But that's how it really is. And they're just showing you that. They're showing you they're just showing you, hey, this is an investigation. This is real. They're not trying to be flashy or dramatic or anything like that. So if you like that, definitely go check them out. Exactly. It's just hard for people to believe now. And that's unfortunate, because if there's one thing I've learned for sure over the last several years is paranormal, there's something out there. It's real. There's something out there. That's what I can say that. As far as the rules, I know that certain things seem to work. Again, this is just over years of experience. Certain things seem to work. I don't know the full rules, but I know that there's something out there. I believe. So it's just a shame when other people are just like, paranormal's not real. It's all fake. Or some people like, or they think all this other stuff is real. They think all the fake stuff's real, and then when they actually see some channels like mine that aren't as exciting, or they go even to like Virginia Paranormal, which is not exciting, but it's 100% like legit, straight up, like as far as reaction wise. But when they look at our channels like us, people are just like, oh, they got an EVP or two. How exciting. Yay. But EVPs are like some of the best evidence that's real evidence. Anyways. But guys, that's about all I've really got. Chuck. I didn't even see Chuck pop in there. Chuck, how's it going? But yeah, any last minute things? I was just asked about t-shirts. Yeah. Kat, if you hit me up in that email right here, everythingparanormalshow at gmail.com, hit me up. I'll send you a link to where you can do the t-shirts. The t-shirts are pretty nice. They're soft. I think they're Gildan, so pretty standard. But they're nice. I'm not wearing one tonight. I'm wearing my allcarnivoreinfo.com. So for those of you that want to live a carnivore lifestyle, go to allcarnivoreinfo.com. It's an amazing, like I've been hitting the weights now. Like, man, I love, like, the carnivore lifestyle has been amazing. Like I said, I've lost 70 plus pounds. All my medical stuff's gone. My arthritis, my fingers, diabetes, sleep apnea, everything's gone. So, but yeah, but guys, I want to just say thank you to everybody that showed up tonight. If you tuned in late, go back and watch the beginning. We talk about a lot of good stuff. And but again, remember, every Thursday, 9 p.m., I will see you guys in the next stream. And if you want the merch, again, like Kat does, hit me up, everythingparanormalshow at gmail.com. And yes, Steve, good stuff. Thank you. I appreciate it. All right, guys, we'll see you next week. Bye.